In the room, what a lot of Western climate diplomats tell me is that leaders like yourself also carry a responsibility. Why are vulnerable countries still so debt-stricken? Why is there still corruption? What is your response to that?
You really want me to answer you?
I do.
Okay. Why is it that every time we talk about countries from the South, the first allegation is corruption? Last time I checked, in the USA and the UK and Europe, they're riddled with corruption, but nobody says that they're not capable of achieving their objectives because of corruption.
Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing fine now. Let's watch this video of Motley, the Prime Minister of Barbados and one of the best leaders in the Caribbean. She goes out of order to defend Jamaica and the Caribbean in a world stage, which is very rare. Now, she has the audacity to lecture world leaders like Macron and Joe Biden over bad climatic policies. So let's watch this video, then have a quick discussion at the end of it. Thank you so much.
Why is it that we're not talking about the fact that these countries became independent, having allowed those countries that colonized them to extract significant portions of their wealth, such that we had no proper housing, no proper education, no proper healthcare systems, no proper legal systems, no proper across the whole stream, and certainly nothing to do with building social capital like community development and cultural enterprises. And what has happened is therefore that we have spent the time since independence trying to give our people what the global north has taken for granted and has supported by the extrication of centuries of wealth to give their people out of our blood, sweat and tears. Now, when our blood, sweat and tears finances the Industrial Revolution, and the Industrial Revolution then causes the climate crisis, and then I have to pay for the consequences of the climate crisis because of the Industrial Revolution financed by our blood, sweat and tears, then I think they have no moral authority to tell me anything about the financing of the climate or about why we don't have enough.
Is it anger over this that fuels your energy?
Anger? Absolutely not. Unfairness, lack of justice. They're not angry. I'm just disappointed that humankind still wants to believe that we need to make sure that we deal with the consequences of war and fragility. The Secretary General said it so well this morning. There is too much war globally. And the reality is, whether it is Gaza, whether it is Ukraine, whether it is Africa, it must come to an end. These wars are man-made, and man can therefore negotiate. I believe that a time will come when they will come to an end. The question is at what cost and how many people will die. The bottom line is that in our own region, as I said, the example of Venezuela and Guyana, and we pray that that continues to hold, should be a beacon to show the rest of the world that it is possible to come together and address these issues. As it relates to Haiti, as we speak, Haiti continues to unravel and to face the worst of circumstances. Our heart bleeds for the Haitian people. The reality is that the world needs to stop paying lip service. And we cannot only address the issue of the political solution and the security solution, which is uppermost, and the immediate humanitarian aid, but there must be a commitment at the same time to put at least a 30-year development compact for the people of Haiti to ensure that we are not back here in the near future again. As it relates to the Gaza war, this is inexplicable. The world's first televised genocide is uniting the people of the world, even if their governments do not want to be united. And we say simply that Prime Minister Netanyahu needs to be separated from the people of Israel, because as we have seen, there are Israelis who understand that what is happening in the Gaza Strip, in spite of the fact that of all that has happened, is wrong and disproportionate. Mr. Chairman, I ask us, therefore, to speak with one voice on these issues, because governments and democracy will have no moral authority to speak on anything if we continue to watch children and women die. We condemn, of course, what happened to the Israelis from Hamas, but we must now condemn what is happening disproportionately to the people of Gaza. I ask simply, where do they go next year and the year after? How will they get housing? How will they get food? How will they get water? How will they live without medicine? And we cannot think, therefore, of only today, but indeed of next year and the near future. Mr. Chairman, as I have said to you, values matter. And much of what we are speaking about is an inequitable, President Lula says it well all the time, system that needs to be transformed. This is based on man-made values, and therefore they can be changed equally by man-made decisions. You this morning, whether by accident or by providence, ensured that we listened to the wonderful melody of that third world song, Try Jah Love. And I remind us only as we leave here today that we must be for life and for peace. And in the words of that wonderful song that has inspired so many of us in the Caribbean, the third world song, that you should know that it is time for the world to try Jah love, the only love that can bring peace. I do not think the choice of that song this morning was by accident, and I hope that it will inspire us to commit to continuing to have the Caribbean and Latin America as a zone of peace. I wish my sister from...
Because we are capable of being, as our first Prime Minister said, friends of all and satellites of none.
But it's not just Barbados that's moving closer to China, it's the whole of the Caribbean. I mean,
it's the whole
investment
world.
From China has gone up many folds.
But so
in
is the whole world.
Years.
If I look correctly, I think the Chinese hold a large percentage of assets within the United States of America and a large amount of their treasuries as well. So for you to focus on the Caribbean or Africa with China without recognizing the role that China is playing in Europe or in the North Atlantic countries is a bit disingenuous and really reflects more that we are seen as pawns, regrettably, rather than countries with equal capacity to determine our destiny and to be part and parcel of that global conversation to fight the global issues of the day like climate and the pandemic.
All right, well, that's put me in my place, hasn't it?
No, not at all,
Zara. Motley. Thank you.
Not at all, my dear.
That's all right, thank you. We'll go to our next question. Provide me with a bit of relief. Thank you. Kevon Henry, your question.
Time and time again. Poor countries paying for the price of wealthier nations. My friends, we're seeing this now in Pakistan, where the flooding is so extreme that it has pushed 1/3 of the country underwater. It is apocalyptic. Pakistan has a very small carbon footprint, and yet is suffering from some of the most devastating effects of this climate crisis. And yes, this is only one example among many. Right here in the Americas, Puerto Rico has been crippled by flash flooding just this week. Guadeloupe, Turks and Caicos Islands, and Bermuda all have been victims of Hurricane Fiona. My friends, this is proof that the climate crisis is real, and it is, yes, man-made. We have to convince world leaders to take action to help the countries that need it most. I said last year that this is a death sentence for us, and the crises are only going to multiply. So I stand here today speaking directly to the leaders of the wealthy nations, but through you, because you have the power. These nations have received billions of dollars from the IMF, and through special drawing rights, we want them, they received it for COVID-19. Make good now on their promise to reallocate some of those funds, honor their word to provide at the very least the $100 billion that was promised in Paris years ago for the adaptation for climate vulnerable countries. And yes, let us settle a framework for funding loss and damage, because it is fair, it is right, and it's the only thing that will cause them to pay for what we are suffering from. My friends, I am also here to call on the multilateral institutions like the World Bank, to act. The only way ahead is a just energy green transition. And yes, my friends,
the Prime Minister of Barbados, Prime Minister Motley, now, she's one of the most outspoken and one of the leaders that has received so much praise from the people of the Caribbean. Now, Barbados is very glad to have her as a leader. Now, I'm talking about a woman who can stand in front of so many leaders who are not of the same gender and talk with so much power and talk with so much courage. Now, we've seen how much she has stood with the people of the Caribbean. She has always spoken truth to power. Now, in this video, we've always seen that small countries like the African countries, those countries in the Caribbean, and more specifically Barbados and Jamaica, have always been blamed for global warming effects that are hitting the world right now. But she comes out to challenge those who are blaming, those who are twisting the blame to small countries, to the third world countries. And she says, no, you know what? You are the manufacturers of vehicles, the European Union, now America, now go to Asia. These are the biggest polluters of the world. Now, she says that if there is anyone to take responsibility of the global warming, if there is anyone to take responsibilities of the wars that are ongoing in Israel, in other countries, it is these countries. It is the Western Union, together with the European Union, together with the US, and the World Bank at large. Now, she argues out that if these countries were not manufacturing these vehicles and importing them to these countries, to the third world countries, we could not be having this mess, because most of the third world countries do not even manufacture their own vehicles. They take the vehicles that are made from Japan, Germany, US, and all these other countries. Now, it is so good to see such a leader, such a bold leader, who can stand out of so many people and talk the truth. Now, someone talking the truth in this era is something else. We have had leaders who are puppets, who just go there, listen, now waste a lot of money that could have been used to pay other bills, the government bills. I mean, they could have used to pay doctors, they could have been used to pay teachers and all those important people in our society. They go there with a lot of delegation, they come out of there, they have spoken nothing, they are puppets of these countries. But it's another thing to see someone as bold as Motley. Now, I will wish to know whatever you think of this video, because however much we try to look for a hero, now I know it is a black nature that we always praise someone when they are gone, when they are not there. But this is the time we can actually give praise to Motley. We can actually give credit where due. If she can come out with a lot of boldness and tell Emmanuel Macron and tell Joe Biden and tell all other world leaders that, you know what, we are not going to accept you condemning our countries for things that were actually generated by you. These problems are man-made. Global warming is man-made. It is not a punishment from God. This is whatever these people, we the people, have been doing. And who are these people? These are European Union countries that have been doing this. They are the biggest manufacturers of vehicles in this world, together with some Asian countries and the US. So if there is anyone to be blamed for poor policies, it is these countries. They could have come out with better policies for disposals of their products after use. Now, if at any point we could adapt solar energy, we could have adapted all these electrical vehicles and all that, we could have avoided pollution. Now, that's whatever Motley is saying. And she says that we've been talking, people have been talking, all these leaders meet yearly, on a yearly basis. But what do they discuss if they do not come out with better policies? That's whatever she talks about. Now, she challenges the big names in the world that let's stop the talking. Why can't we go back and make actions? Why can't we go back and study where did all this come from and how best can we do to counter this mess that we already have? Now, we know that some money has already been given to African countries, to the Caribbean and other countries for global warming effects and all this by the World Bank. But the question still remains, how relevant is that to stopping global warming? Because when you give a government some funds and you don't follow up whatever the government is going to do with, obviously we have greedy leaders who are going to take this money and divide it amongst themselves. So I think it's for the best interest of this world, of the earth we are living in, for all these leaders to come out with better policies and stop wasting taxpayers' money in meeting, doing expensive summits here and there, but coming out with no absolute solution. Now, the long speeches won't serve us best. The long speeches are not going to deliver the world from the mess that it is in right now. The long speeches are not going to stop the looters from looting the money that was going to fight global warming. The best way to fight global warming is to come out with best policies, good policies that can protect our environment. We've been seeing policies that are being, I can call them crooked policies, because if you put a policies, then you can't implement the same policy. What is that? You must come out with policies, implement those policies to the fullest, and make sure every fund, because this is not their money. These are taxpayers' money all over the world being spent badly by these leaders. So it is the best of interest for these people to come out in their large numbers, as they have always been showing up for these summits. Then discuss the best solution. That's whatever Motley is saying here. Let's come out, discuss the best solutions. Let's build, let's start forest. Let's do afforestation here and there. Let's plant trees. It's the best way. Let's reduce the consumption of fuel, and let's adapt solar energy. Let's do whatever will serve our environment the best, because if we do not save the environment we have today, brothers and sisters, it is going to be a mess. It is going to be a big mess. So this is the time. If you're watching this video, let's join hands together. This is our world. It is not only their world, because we also live in the same world. So if we're gonna destroy the earth, the planet that we live in, we don't have other options. Other options maybe, I do not know, but this is the only option we have. And maybe the other option is for billionaires, and I know no one who is watching this video is a billionaire. So let's come out in our big numbers and in our large numbers. Let's join hands and try fight global warming. Let's adapt the policies at a personal level. We can do it, by the way, at a very personal level. So it's not only a matter to the government. The government is only a number of people with whom some are very greedy and they have personal interests. So these people cannot save this world. We are the majority. Remember, even if you combine all the governments, the people in all the governments, they may not tend up to reach 100 million. And what's the other number? We are around 4 to 5 billion people. So we can still do it. So this is just my calling, just as Motley has said, this is a responsibility to anyone and not a blame for others. Thank you so much for having taken the time to watch this video. And if it's the first time you're coming across the channel, please consider subscribing, share, and comment. Let me know whatever you think of this video in the comment section. Thank you so much.